Where is the literary renaissance going to happen? Where are we going to meet on the battlefield for the literary crusade? And today I'm going to talk about the platform you should be posting on if you want to start to get your first readers or if you're trying to become a full-time author. And right now I am speaking to all of my fiction, poetry, and nonfiction authors out there. I don't care about personal development writing, business writing, copywriting, or any of that other BS. Today, I'm speaking to the artists because there is a hard truth that we have to realize as writers in 2024, which is one of the last things that you should be doing if you were trying to become a full-time author or trying to get readers is to write a book and have it traditionally published or to self-publish it. Because the New York Times did a study and found that 98% of books traditionally published by major houses like Random House, Penguin, and others sell less than 5,000 copies, which means that if you accomplish your dream, if you can go and tell your mom, I did it, I got published by Random House, I have an editor, they're going to make a cover for me. There's a 98% chance that you will make less than $10,000 for that multi-thousand hour effort. And of those less than 5,000 people that buy your book, probably only half of them will actually read it. And even less of them will actually like it. And even less of the people that liked it will look you up and seek you out. Does that sound sustainable? And the 2% of people that do sell copies are almost always not literary fiction authors. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't publish a book. You should. We need books to create an educational and spiritual awakening. But as you are writing your novel, you should be also writing on a platform that will help you grow so that when you publish your book, whether it's traditionally or self-publishing, you will have people actually reading it. And more importantly, you should be on a platform that if you become successful, you can become a full-time author on it. And the platform we are going to be speaking about today, mostly, right now, has over 3 million authors on it who are getting paid. And over the past 10 years, I've been the creator of multiple YouTube channels, blogs, courses, and I've tried every single different platform. And when a new one comes out, I go and look at it. But where the literary renaissance is happening, and there is no second place that's even in the room, is none other than Substack.com, everybody. Because Substack currently has every single feature that you need to become a full-time author, even if you aren't the best author that's ever lived. I would say most of you guys, with where you are at right now, in terms of your writing skill, can go full-time on Substack. And the other 40%, if you practice and stuff, could also get there, obviously. But it's not really a writing thing. It's the how you use the platform thing. Because as modern authors, one of the easiest ways to make an excuse for our lack of readers is to say that everyone's dumb. No one wants to read my crazy story anymore. But there are plenty of authors on Substack or on other platforms that are writing things that are more complicated and more nuanced than what you are doing and have a rabid fan base. But the first thing that Substack does to put the ball in the writer's court, to give writers an advantage, is they make almost everything that you would normally have to pay for free, starting with email, website hosting. You could go buy a domain name for $7 and host for probably $20 a month on cloudways.com. And I'm not affiliated with any website I'm mentioning today, or I'm not getting paid by them. And that would come out to probably $250 a year in website hosting. And if you have no audience, if you have no readers, then what's the point? And then you have to run that whole website yourself. You can get hacked. There can be problems. The second thing that Substack does, which is its most powerful thing, is that every person that subscribes to you is also on your email list. You have access to their email. And as an author, the number one thing you need is someone's email. Because, for instance, if I published a poem right now, within a couple hours, over 5,000 people would read it. And that is liberating. That is amazing to know that I have a receptive audience. But if we go back 4 years, I could maybe get 10 people to read something I wrote, even if it was the best thing I ever wrote, over the course of a week. And so a lot of websites where people host their writing, whether it's a WordPress website or like a typical blog website, does not collect emails. And paying a website to collect emails for you, for instance, on this channel all the time, I talk about, hey, go check out my guide that details Cormac McCarthy's favorite books. And people sign up for it, give me their email, and then they get the guide. I pay $70 a month for that email service I use. And that's one of the cheapest ones. And I have less subscribers on Substack than my big email list. But if I hosted my Substack email list on some website, it would probably be at the cheapest $40 a month. There's another $500 added to the list. And so Substack will seamlessly build as you grow your email list. And from what I've been able to find in my own journey as a writer and with all the writers that I know, that if you're doing the right thing and you publish good writing and you have a good relationship with your audience, that anywhere from 5 to 10% of your audience will purchase a paid subscription for $5 a month or whatever to your Substack. And when you look at that big picture, that means that the road to becoming a full-time author is actually a road of building 10,000 subscribers on Substack. It's almost a game. If you find 10,000 people that actually enjoy your work on Substack, that means that you will have, let's say, 1,000 subscribers a month, paying $5 a month, which means you will earn $60,000 a year. And yes, Substack takes a 10% fee. So we could say you're earning $54,000 a year, but you can live on that. Maybe you have a family and that's not enough, but that is a hell of a start. And so that's the flip that Substack has given authors. That's the power it's given us, is continuity, that we finally have the ability, instead of trying to sell 10,000 books a year, all we have to do is establish a relationship with 1,000 people who enjoy our work. And we've been liberated from this idea that we have to keep publishing these books and rising above our last novel and all the pressure that authors used to have and conforming to the editor. And guys, I'm probably delusional, but I do think that we can kick off a literary renaissance. And that's why I've created a free writing school where I have a full course on how to grow your Substack audience for free, no matter what you are writing or where you are in the world. And it requires no money. You don't have to pay me any money. You don't need to get on camera, but you are going to need to write. Crazy. But if you want to go join my free writing school, which will have daily and weekly writing challenges, writing contests, a community, and me to answer your questions about technical writing advice or how to build your audience, anything related to that stuff, you can go check it out. It is launching October 14th, which is next Monday. And my main goal with that school is to get all of you guys moving. Because if 100 people wrote 50 short stories across a year, that's 5,000 new short stories in the Substack platform that can help kick off a renaissance. And then the numbers can start getting crazy. And so my goal is to help produce and motivate you guys with the daily videos over there that won't be on the main channel to produce millions of pieces of writing that wouldn't have existed if you didn't have a community and an accountability system to kind of keep you moving forward. And so I will see you guys over there, and let us get back to the video. Because the other advantage of Substack is that it's a free speech platform. You could say whatever the hell you want. You aren't going to get banned. You aren't going to get shadow banned. It's not going to get taken down, as long as it's not like a copyright infringement. And the audience on Substack is not a bunch of snowflakes. There are people who are communist and super Christian conservatives on Substack. It's a pretty chill and intellectual audience. It's not crazy like Twitter or negative like Reddit. And so this is already sounding great, but we've only talked about 3 things: free speech, not having to host your own website and the nightmare of that. And I've hosted at least 20 websites. It sucks. And then third, not having to worry about email marketing. Your email marketing is just every single time you publish a new short story and then people eat it up. Fourth is the concept I was just talking about, that eventually when you have enough fans, you can monetize your Substack, and has a lot of features to do that. It offers free trials. It offers discounts for people. It does all this stuff for you behind the scenes. So once again, you don't have to worry about it. And you've probably heard me talk about my Substack before, but over on my Substack, I basically have turned it into this behemoth of content. I have over 50 hours of content. If you include my book club calls, I host book clubs. I have video podcasts, audio podcasts, blog posts, poems, all structured into my Substack. And it doesn't at that level have the best functionality or like navigation ability when it comes to being a course builder. But I've basically proven that you can get a lot done on there in terms of creating a literary community. And speaking of podcasts and videos, so I pay a podcast host currently $25 a month to host my stuff on Spotify and Apple. But Substack does that for free. Substack, if you want to podcast, will automatically upload your stuff, which is an insanely good feature. I attribute that to a lot of my recent success on Substack because people every single day when they log in to listen to music on Spotify see that I just posted something new. You can also host video on Substack. Yesterday, I posted a free video on Substack titled David Foster Wallace on Tobacco. And I was scared of posting it here because YouTube is so sensitive about that type of stuff. And I wanted to speak freely about tobacco and its positive benefits for writing and not get flagged, because I uploaded it on YouTube and it said, this is demonetized. And I was like, what's the point? Not because I want to make money, but because I knew that if I uploaded it, YouTube would like do a pseudo shadow ban. And so having native video hosting with no regulation on what you say is insane. Next, we have formatting for writers. So Substack does a great job with poetry formatting, short story formatting, essay formatting, and you can work with the color schemes to make it very readable. I've looked a lot into the psychology of reading online and text size and line length and stuff like that, because I used to run blogs of my own and would format all that to make it readable. And Substack, I feel, is about a B to a B plus in terms of readability. And it depends on what blog you're reading and what color scheme they choose. But if they choose the right one, or if you choose the right one, you have the font and the color scheme available to make something look very nice for readers to read online. Because that's really important. Reading something on an Instagram caption sucks. Reading a lot of different websites is not a very pleasant experience, because unfortunately, most online readers do this kind of scanning. Even if they're reading intently, they're like getting like little blocks of information. And so Substack also does a great job because there's no ads on the side, there's no bullshit, there's no sidebar. Once you are reading an article, especially a long one, most of the time you are immersed in it without any extra noise. But even though Substack has all these good things, it has one quality that makes people think that it's not a good platform. And that problem is if right now you have one of the best short stories of all time and you post it on Substack and you have no audience, it's not going to do anything. You're probably going to get no readers. Substack does have an algorithm and it does push you, but it isn't at the same strength of a YouTube or an X or any other social media, because it's not necessarily intended for that. Because inherently, your poems, your short stories, your nonfiction work are less entertaining and profound on the surface level than all the other options people have for seeking entertainment and revelation out in the world. And so, unfortunately, you will have to make people care about your Substack for your Substack to grow and you eventually to get momentum. You want, like Kindle, can't just post and expect people to come. But Substack also includes all the features that you need to help it grow. There is a note section that is very similar to Twitter. There is the ability to comment and be a part of thriving communities. There is the ability to reach out to people personally over DMs and know that they are actually readers and not some random jerk on Instagram or Twitter. And this creates a lot of resentment for people because they are under a false sense of programming that writers don't need to do anything, that they just want to be like the writers of old. But that's like me saying, I want to be like a man of old, and I want to be able to beat my wife and do all these things because that's way easier, right? Like, you just don't have to do anything. You can just be a jerk all the time and walk all over minorities and women and all this stuff. Yeah. But the old way of writing also sucked because it didn't work. Are we living in a literary utopia right now? Did all these authors being recluses and not putting in the work and not making people care and developing personal relationships with them, how well did that work out? Honestly, because we are living in a post-literate age right now that is partially to blame because of them. And so without that mentality shift, you will forever remain the suffering artist, the complaining sad boy, the logic bro, the lit bro. And that's not what we need to create a literary renaissance. And so I'm giving my full endorsement to Substack. I'm starting to post a ton of free stuff on Substack. So yes, I have a paid Substack that is $10 a month, but I also am starting to offer every single week free stuff. So if you want to go over there and see how I'm running things, I think I figured out at least some stuff in terms of how to make it work well, especially in the literary space. But what's fun about Substack is that there are millions of writers who you can study and kind of emulate. So Substack's big competitor, who I would put probably in second place, is Ghost. And Ghost is an open source blog and newsletter platform that doesn't have the community element of Substack. And it has more functionality in a lot of different ways, but it's 100% centered on your ability to drive traffic to it. And so if you aren't a content monster, then no one's going to discover you over there. And you also don't have the ability to do kind of the easy things that I talk about in my school course to reach out and to connect with people on Substack over on Ghost. And it's an extra click, because if you do some work and let's say you make some connections over in my YouTube comments or something and you send them to your Ghost page, then it's a lot of clicking and cross-platform jumping that a lot of people just aren't willing to do. And it's sad that people aren't willing to do that, but they just aren't. But over on Substack, if you convince someone or tell someone about your work and they maybe even see a comment that you leave or a note that you do appears in their feed, they'll click on your profile and then are one click away from your short story. It's all very seamless. And so Ghost is simple, Ghost is clean, Ghost takes less money, Ghost collects emails, but it doesn't have the depth and it doesn't have the community that you are going to need to most likely be able to soar. Unless, like I said, you're willing to send all the traffic you can over there. And by traffic, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people. Next is websites like Medium and Quora. If you are writing fiction or poetry, don't post over there. Like, that is to get clicks for like catchy blog posts in like the nonfiction realm. Don't recommend it. Do not recommend Patreon because it doesn't really support writing. Obviously, if you want to make a community, you can do that over there. But in terms of publishing your writing and getting people interested in that, and that being your cornerstone of your entire platform, Patreon is definitely not the place for that. I guess you could host your site on a WordPress site or something like that and then send them to a Patreon to support you. But that funnel I've seen attempted before and is a terrible idea. You want all your stuff to be able to happen in one place. And for instance, I've outgrown Substack in a sense because I'm doing some free course stuff and it's really hard to build a course and thriving community on Substack in terms of like running a school, like literal school, like I'm attempting to do. That will eventually have quizzes and tests and me editing people's stuff and stuff. Like, that just can't happen very well on Substack. I've been doing it, but it can't really scale in the way that it needs to currently. Another cool platform to consider is Beehive. And this one is very similar to Ghost, and I think Beehive is actually very, very clean. And I almost created my newsletter and all my stuff over on Beehive. But the problem is, and what actually turned me off, is that their email deliverability has a lot of problems. Because I subscribe to people over on Beehive, and every time they email me, it ends up in the promotions tab. And my fiction is not a promotion. I want that to end up in the primary tab. If I send you my poem for free, that's not a promotion anyway. And so that idea really turned me off. And then I didn't realize how big the community element is, because a lot of my success on Substack has actually come from other people who support me and have brought other people to my channel. Next is hosting your own writing on WordPress. And what's great about WordPress or something like it, or creating your own website without WordPress, is that you can control how it looks. And that is really important. Like I said, on some of my past blogs that are still up, like on yoga and stuff, they look really, really good, like in terms of readability, because I've manipulated like the line length and the font and all these different things to make it optimum for online readers, whether it's on mobile or on a desktop. I can't do that and perfect that on Substack, and that kind of sucks, or a lot of these other websites I've mentioned. But Substack has problems, first of all, collecting emails. That can be very problematic. You have to do like pop-ups and enter email, and it doesn't really work as well. And then third, monetizing on WordPress can be a nightmare. I've done multiple courses and monetized multiple WordPress sites, and the original Cormac McCarthy course was monetized on WordPress with a plugin called MemberPress. And it's just really clunky to run, because what's really great about Substack is that a lot of people already have a Substack account. But when I had my website on rightconscious.com, you had to create a username and a login just for my website. And then I had a Discord channel and like all this stuff, and it just all could have been done once again on a Substack. And so I would say, unless you are offering like services, unless you are like an editor or going to be doing coaching or something, I wouldn't recommend posting your personal work over on a WordPress site. The only people I see doing that successfully who aren't big are people offering their services. Because that's a problem with Substack, for instance, that I can't sell like my coaching or my editing services directly on there. So obviously there's places like Wattpad and fan fiction websites, but those won't get you any traction, because the end goal is, first of all, to have fun. I'm talking about making money, but the first thing you want is to get 100 people who love you and to develop a relationship with them and know when you release something, you're going to have a group of readers who are more than just your friends and family. And then after that, you can start worrying about trying to do this full time. But having to worry about the nightmare of creating your own website, and a lot of that stuff isn't worth the payoff when right now, today, you could format your Substack, honestly optimize it in like an hour or two, and then be posting away and not have to worry about that again forever. I don't think I've changed my about page or my profile picture or anything on Substack since I created it, which probably isn't great, but it just shows you that you can basically just post, build relationships with other people, and that's all you need to do to be successful. And so once again, if you guys want to learn more about how to grow on Substack, how to get your first 10 readers and then your first 100 readers, go check out my free school course where I talk about all of this, and I will see you guys all very, very soon.